Hello YouTube, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here from a YouTube user, Choose Compassion 1, who is a moderator on our channel and is invaluable during our live streams. And Choose Compassion 1 says, "Hi Vince, thank you for the video. Thank you for the video entitled, How Can We Get More Employment Attorneys? What are some other employment opportunities within the typical employment firm that add value to help a plaintiff?" At 47, am I too late for law school? I am seriously contemplating. It just seems like I'm just late at realizing that somehow this is my life path. Well, okay. So let's deal with the idea of, like, is it too late for law school first? In my law school, we had many students who were older, and at the time I was, I think, at the oldest 26 in law school, maybe 25. I'm not sure. I went to law school relatively rapidly after undergraduate. I had a slightly extended undergraduate because I went and studied in Japan for a little while. And then I kind of hung out and worked in Japan for a little while. So it extended things a little bit. So I was probably 25 or 26 in law school. And there were a lot of people coming to law school after they were doing their first, 5-10 years in another industry. So there's a lot of people in their 30s. And there's a lot of people coming to law school after they had retired from their original career. A lot of retired teachers, police officers, firefighters, many, many jobs. Folks who, made nice money in real estate, made nice money in private equity, that kind of thing. Now they're going to law school because they wanted something new, a new challenge. And my law school, which was not an amazing law school, but it was a fine law school, called these students OWLs, older, wiser law students. OWLs, OWLS. And I'll be honest with you, they tended statistically to do far better than the younger students, which is odd because younger students are more used to the education system, right? They're more used to academic learning, which is kind of its own skill set, and one that doesn't have a lot to do with actually litigating cases, or even transactional work as an attorney, but like the skill set of an academician, I don't know, is its own thing where you're memorizing and you're learning how to write in a way that your teacher or your test score or whoever it is going to validate, right, and give you good grades. It's a very specific skill set, which is detrimental to our education system because, like, people learn how to learn, but they don't really learn how to learn. They learn how to, like, get by in academics, right? But I digress. So these OWLs would tend to do better than the students who were fresh off of decades of academic learning, which I think speaks volumes because they're bringing a certain level of experience and maturity to the classroom, and they also tended, in my experience, and I remain friendly with many of these folks, to launch their careers much, much more rapidly than a lot of the students who were a little bit younger in law school. I can tell you right off the bat, I don't know that I was fully ready to enter the workforce. And I'd always been in the workforce, but I'd been in the workforce as like a bus driver, a bouncer, a library page, I had 1,001 jobs, a Rolex salesman, a ski instructor. Like these are jobs that they all have different skill sets, right? Yeah, vastly different requirements than a litigation attorney. And I would actually say maybe the skill set that most closely resembles litigation attorney is bouncer in a bar, because you just need to gently disagree every day. You need to gently disagree and keep things on the rails, right? And that can be hard for folks. But again, I digress yet again. So, I got into the workforce and things went well. I started at an investment bank, and then, the financial crisis happened, and I left the investment bank and I went into employment law. The owls tended to not go after the big law jobs. Generally, they tended to start their own firms or join firms to get some experience and then start their own firms. And that was very successful for many of them, as it was for me when I left working for other people and went into business for myself, right? Law is very much a business where entrepreneurs can very, very rapidly get ahead. So I would say to you at 47, it is not too late. And let's do some quick math. I'm going to pop open a calculator here. So you're 47. Let's assume you want to work until you're 65. So that's 18 years. 18 working years. 3 years for law school. So we knock it down, assuming you have the under degree, undergraduate degree, just go straight to law school. So 15 working years. If you were to engage in 15 working years as an employment attorney after your 3 years of law school, and you were to be intelligent about it, I would argue that at the end of those 15 years, had you made intelligent choices about your caseload and what cases to take and how to operate your business, and you had good deals with the firm you're working at, or you worked at your own firm, you founded your own firm, assuming that you make good, not best, but good choices 55% of the time. 55%, which is for human beings, in terms of decision making good-ish choices 55% of the time is a stretch. I will tell you that is a stretch goal. You can do it. I got to be careful with this hand gesture these days. That's not, the world's getting weird. But I'm trying to do like a graph here, okay? If you're clocking like a 55% rate of making good-ish decisions, you will be a millionaire, just in general. But also, if you're like, you get a law degree, you go directly into employment law, and you are making good-ish decisions 55% of the time, and you work for 15 years, your return on investment for that law school degree will likely be that you are a millionaire at the end of those 15 years, if you were not already, right? I don't know what your, choose compassion, I don't know what your finances are like today. Now, that's assuming you go plaintiff side. Day one, you get a year to 3 years of like significant experience, and then either get a really good deal with a firm, and by really good deal I mean like a really fair deal, or you found your own firm, and you have some means of like gathering, some ability to gather cases, to get potential clients to call you, right? Or even just to get referrals from other attorneys. That works too. And none of that is particularly difficult because there are not enough employment attorneys. So I would argue that if you do want to work to 65, you can. Now, the counter argument is that employment law grinds people down. And I know an awful lot of employment litigators who didn't make it 5 years. The risk was too much. The money screwed it with their heads. They got, the money comes big sometimes, and all of a sudden you don't get any for a long period of time, but you spend all your money. Like, there's a lot of stuff that can happen. People, deal with anxiety and stress and the workload in different ways, often unhealthy ways. They eat themselves to death. They don't take care of their bodies. They get substance abuse problems. They get problems with whatever their sexual person of choice is, where they're chasing like these people that probably aren't healthy for them. There's a lot, and this stuff happens to all humans, but I do see that it tends to happen to employment attorneys at a higher clip, because I think they are under a tremendous amount of strain, both because you're fighting about hate crimes all day, You're risking tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on cases. And clients tend to treat employment attorneys, not all clients, 20% of clients, maybe 10% of clients, tend to be horrifically awful to their employment attorneys. Right? That's just a reality in the industry. And if you're not well suited to all those anxiety and stress inducing sources, to well suited to dealing with them, to finding ways to manage that, you won't make it 15 years. That is the other side of the coin. Like if you can do 15 years, I would expect that you would help a lot of people, and you would likely be a millionaire, with the context that I laid out, right? But it is an if. It's an if. Can you do 15 years as an employment attorney? I think I'm on 16 now, and I'll be the first to say, and I think any attorney watching this from my industry will tell you, not the best attorney, certainly not the best litigator. Perhaps one of the more durable, right? Still here, doing well, right? Got some blood pressure issues, but otherwise, it's going well. And a lot of much greater attorneys, much more talented attorneys, are in jail, disbarred, in substance treatment programs, triple divorced and destitute. Their firms are, bankrupt, and it's a boulevard of broken dreams, to quote the Green Day of my youth, right? So it's really easy for me to sit here and say choose compassion. Yeah, by the math, you should be fine. You go to law school at 47, get out of law school at 50, make it happen. Be an employment attorney. You'll help a lot of people, and you'll make a lot of money. But you got to know yourself. I don't know you. I know you as a channel operator, a channel moderator, and I think you're swell. But I don't know in the dead of night, 4 a.m. when you wake up and somebody said something so awful to you, so awful, because you won them high 6 figures instead of 7 figures, and they tell you they're going to rape your family because you didn't win the millions, and you wake up that night at 4 a.m., are you going to think about it? Are you going to think about it for a long time? Or are you going to think about it and be like, that dumb piece of shit, and go back to bed, right? And it sounds like a small difference, but it's not. Because more often than not, there's going to be someone who said something awful. Or there's going to be some case where somebody lied and you're 6 figures invested, hundreds of attorney hours, right? Or some crazy person who says, you didn't move my case fast enough. I'm suing you. And you're just like, and again, when I say crazy, I mean zany, not someone dealing with a mental disability, right? I'm not mocking any disability. But that's just a universal constant. And the bigger your caseload gets, and the more successful you get, the more of those people are going to seek you out. And if you, in your heart of hearts, really, really, like really, 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 really believe, you'd be like, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with knowing that I'm really helping people and that I'm trading quality of life straight up, that I can feel accomplished and make loads of cash. And you, my friend, you're an employment attorney. Yeah, at least you could be. A little attention to detail, a little irrational aggression. You got what it takes, kid. Or not, kid. Right? Like that's the recipe, right? I for many years in my career, early in my career, would reference that I would get spit on by potential clients about the clip of twice a year. Just straight up like, hey, listen, I don't think we can help you. I don't think we can take your case. Straight up spit in your face. What are you gonna do? Fist fight? You gonna fist fight your potential clients? You can't do it. You'll get disbarred. You'll get charged with assault, right? You just gotta sit there and make sure they leave all the way out the office, because if you don't get them out the office, they're gonna do some damage, right? But that was the nature of the industry. It was the nature. You're helping people in some of their hardest moments, and if you can't help them, and you have to say, listen, I don't think I can take this case, well, some of those people are going to take a swing. Some of those people are going to do horrible things to you. Sometimes you're going to help people a lot, and they're going to try to rob you. Won you 7 figures. Now you're trying to run away with my contingent percentage. We've hung out exclusively litigating this case for 18 months. We put up a big win for you, and now you're trying to run with the money, right? Does that feel like betrayal? Sure. Can you get mad about it? You can't. You can't. Because it kind of makes sense. If someone does horrible things to you, and you finally get a check to make that kind of better, but somebody's taking 33, 35, 40% of that check, you're not going to sit there and think, well, this person really helped me. They deserve their percentage. You're going to think, horrible things were done to me. This is my money. How dare they? How dare they take such a big cut? They didn't. It was just words. They didn't do anything. They weren't out there knifing people for me. It was just words. And that happens. And you're in your practice going to have to crack some heads for some dummies. You know, and when I say crack heads, I mean like handle that in an ethical but aggressive fashion, which treats your clients with respect, but still make sure you get paid. Because if you don't get paid, guess what? You're not going to help anybody next year. The firm's going to be gone, right? So choose compassion. If I haven't scared you away, the age is not the issue from my perspective for you to go to law school. You could do very, very well going to law school at 47, in my opinion, in this industry. It's the appetite for the mayhem that goes into this industry. Just the reality. Now, you had a second part of this question, which was, what are some other employment opportunities within a typical employment firm that add value to help a plaintiff? So this gets a little dicey here, and I'll listen. Right now, today, there are tons of opportunities for paraprofessionals who are super talented in employment firms, both employment defense and plaintiff side. We don't, as an industry, tend to use paras as heavily as like personal injury or workers' compensation, right? But we do certainly have paras. A lot of paras do a lot of work on discovery. There's paraprofessionals who translate. There's paraprofessionals who run the calendar system and do intake work. Like there's a lot of ways to be a paraprofessional in this industry. But that is today. Today, 28th of January, 2025. And on the 27th of January, 2025, it came to light that China's new DeepSeek AI was trained at a fraction, allegedly trained at a fraction of the cost that it cost the U.S. AIs, the big AIs in the U.S., to be trained up and to be useful. And that is useful context because that means there are, I don't know, less than 10 really, really big players in AI right now and hundreds of small players. And one of the big industries that they're looking at is law. And while I don't think AI in the next 20 years is going to replace employment litigators. It is going to replace some roles in employment firms. Research and drafting attorneys are going to find things very difficult. Paralegals who do, I guess, rote work, so simple work, administrative work. A lot of the AIs are gonna take that over, I expect. Discovery is very creative, and we don't yet know how creative will AI be. I mean, we know it can be creative. It can write a story, right? But can it creatively problem solve? And I think the answer is that it may. And it may be very successful at that. And creative problem solving is the core of how discovery can win cases, right? So I could pay somebody 80, 90, 100K to be a discovery paralegal. 120K, 140K. I don't know. Depends on how good they are. Or I could probably spend 10 grand a month for an AI solution that does all the discovery on all the cases. And then I have the attorneys go over it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure it's good. You know, and none of this is ready today. And none of this will be ready in the next 5 years. But somewhere in the next 20 years, looks like it might. So I don't know what your work horizon is. I don't know how much longer you want to work at 47. But if that horizon is 20 plus years and you're working as a paralegal in litigation, you got to keep your eye on the AI, because many of those jobs will be evaporating over the next decade and a half. And that could be great, because it might mean that firms can help a lot more people. But it could also, be horrific for those paras. And I don't want you to get in a situation where you become hyper-specialized at, doing discovery in employment law as a para, and then get replaced by a self-learning machine and a couple of chips, right? That would be unfortunate. So, choose Compassion 1. It's always great to hear from you. I hope these answers had value for you. If they did, like, subscribe, comment down below. Share our channel so it may grow. If they didn't, give me that thumbs down. I deserve it. I will track this video for follow-up questions. And, you know what? Seeing your name here, I got to schedule a live stream. Obviously, I got to schedule a live stream. When am I going to schedule a live stream? I got to look at the calendar. That's what I got. I'm going to go look at the calendar. Take care, everybody.